Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, the bear market blues. If you guys like the content, remember to subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and check out the sale on the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com, which will end in 6 days. Let's go ahead and jump in. So, we've talked about this bear market structure for quite a while, and unfortunately, with Bitcoin failing to hold the bull market support band, the argument goes that we just simply kick the can down the road and we try again later. But one of the things that we have to pay attention to, it would be doing sort of a disservice to not pay attention to it, is namely the fact that, yet again, we have been rejected off of the 200-day moving average. And the reason why this is important is because we've been in a phase like this before, right? This is somewhat familiar. It doesn't have to play out the exact same way, but rejection off of the 200-day moving average is not exactly a bullish signal, right? It's not exactly a bullish signal. We were rejected off of it in May of 2018 and then again in July of 2018. And one of the things that I'm sort of looking for here is will we put in a lower low? Okay, namely, simply put, right? I'm just looking to see, are we going to put in a lower low? Because after the rejection off of the 200-day back in May of 2018, you can see that we did in fact put in a lower low. One of the interesting things about this is that if you just sort of draw a line from this wick up to this level here, you can see that Bitcoin sort of, it had this bounce off the wick and then it moved higher here. It then went up to the 200-day moving average, right? Up to the 200-day moving average, followed by a drop back down to this, imaginary trend line, consolidation at it, where it slowly moved up for maybe 1 to 2 weeks, followed by a break where we technically put in a lower low. And really, it wasn't that much of a lower low. It was sort of like going back to where we first had that first capitulation wick. Okay, so what I'm looking for here is is Bitcoin going to repeat some type of a similar pattern and then go back up and test the 200-day moving average? Let's say in June. Okay, because this occurred in April. And then back then, well, in May, I guess, we got rejected in May, and then we went back up in July. Here you can see this is in April, or really, I guess, in late March, early April. And so if it's just, 1 month ahead, then is something like that going to play out? And so what I'm really looking for here is we sort of have some type of a similar setup in terms of this sort of uptrend. Is Bitcoin going to consolidate around this area for a few days? Put in either, go retest the prior low, maybe go slightly lower, and then come back up to the 200-day moving average? Are we looking at something like this? This is sort of the structure that we're currently dealing with. I mean, again, this is not what I necessarily want to happen or think has to happen. It's just looking at what the chart is saying to us right now and whether Bitcoin can in fact hold these levels. I think really what we would like to see for Bitcoin to break out of this level would be for us to get back above some of these critical long-term moving averages, right? I mean, you have the 200-day moving average that's all the way above 48K, and this is one of those moving averages that we warned about can in fact be a formidable opponent, right? I mean, you can see the similar market structure here, right? It can be a formidable opponent for Bitcoin to get past. And now that we're sort of following this structure for quite some time, the question now is, well, does that mean we're going to basically spend the next 1 to 2 weeks consolidating in the high 30s before ultimately going back down and retesting the prior low? I do think there's a lot that sort of hinges on this uptrend, right? This uptrend that we're looking at. And it hasn't, I mean, you could argue that it hasn't really been broken yet, whether you want to measure it from the candles, whether you want to measure it from, say, like the wicks or whatever. It hasn't really been broken yet. But if it does break, right, if this uptrend does break, this local uptrend, then you have to understand that a retest of the prior low, or maybe even putting in a slightly lower low, is theoretically in the cards, right, in the short term. So, we're still looking at more, I would assume we're still looking at more months of this type of price action. and to ultimately see if and when Bitcoin can actually break back above. So again, what I'm looking for right now is this pattern going to continue to play out, right? Are we going to see after essentially seeing this uptrend, are we going to see that sort of consolidation around the prior uptrend, followed by a retest of the prior low, or maybe even setting a slightly lower low, and then going back up to the 200-day moving average to see if we can fight it yet once again. And it's interesting if you sort of draw this out and look at maybe some of the parallels to it. And if it were to play out, then it could mean retesting the 200-day moving average just in a couple months in the low 40K levels, like at the low 40K levels. So something like this where it consolidates, it comes down, and then we bounce back up and then try to take back the 200-day moving average in a couple months. I mean, again, that'll be a battle that we'll have to pay attention to. And if we fail to break it, then we're likely, again, we're talking about getting rejected and maybe coming back down and putting in a lower low again. But this is, I think, something important that's worth watching. I mean, it is what it is, right? We are back below the bull market support band. Obviously, the market remains bearish. And you could argue that it hasn't really flipped bullish, because a lot of times in order to really flip bullish, you need to see us hold the bull market support band, which we were unable to do, right? I mean, we were just unable to do it. And because we were unable to do it, the structure hasn't changed, right? It just simply hasn't changed. It was just a false breakout, right? Nothing's really changed. And really, it was the rejection off of the 200-day moving average that is basically just dropped us right back down to where we were, just really about a month ago, right? Back in mid March, we're basically back to those same prices after getting rejected. Not going to edit it out. So, anyways, there's really a lot to look for right now in Bitcoin and to see if we can reclaim some of these levels. But unfortunately, every pump is sold off. Every move that the market makes isn't sustained. Altcoins still look relatively bleak. I mean, I do think eventually we're going to come out the other side, but I don't think there's any reason, and I've said this a few times before, I don't really think there's any reason to expect new all-time highs in the next few months, right? The market isn't really showing that type of strength at the moment. I think we need, a bit more time than that, and so I think the argument really is to just try to be patient, to have a strategy, to not just be completely all into the market, so that you can't take advantage of further drops, and hopefully we'll see if Bitcoin holds. But again, right now, this type of structure, let's see if we get some type of consolidation in the high upper 30s. Maybe we can go back above 40K, and then if it does go down and put in a lower low or retest the prior low, and we come back up, the real test is going to be at that 200-day moving average and whether we can break through it at that point or not. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the sale on the premium list, which ends on April 17th. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye.